Although, as we move into the off-the-field news from the game, I mean, there was a real sadness comes out on Saturday night when this was announced, and it was the sudden and tragic passing of Matt Beard, the former Liverpool WSL head coach there. I mean, it's been quite telling, hasn't it, across the board, how many tributes and how many outpourings of love have come for this guy as well.
Yeah, really shocking news, to be honest. I mean, I've not done a lot of women's over my career, really. I just don't have the time to do it. And obviously, there are dedicated reporters who do that. But I've done bits and bobs. And whenever I've met Matt, he just seemed like a really, really nice guy. And I know everyone says that in these moments, but it genuinely kind of came off like that. And I know how well regarded he was and really well liked. And, the fact is, people just wouldn't say this if it wasn't true about how nice a guy he was. And, you can really feel that in people's tributes. And I felt it in the brief times that I met him as well. And just really, really shocking news, to be honest. Just really sad. And I know a lot of people around the club are really kind of hurting off the back of this. And just another reminder, really, of how kind of short life is, and that you've got to kind of appreciate everything you get and all the upsides and all the happiness and the moments, because it's so fleeting. It really is. Just really, really sad news. And my thoughts really do go out to his family. Just devastating, and another kind of tragedy befalling the club as well in a really difficult summer. It's just hard to fathom, to be honest.
Yeah, it hasn't been the greatest summers that way. And like you say, your heart just goes out to the family. And I know the club will announce something. There'll be some more coming tributes in the week ahead. And, I mean, in this week ahead, Mo Salah is headed to the Ballon d'Or this week. I don't know if you call it the award ceremony, the festival, however you call it. He's got a lot of trophies on the picture there. Think he's got a chance of bringing this golden ball home at all?
Probably not, to be honest. I don't have much faith in the vote, and I think he should win it, to be honest. I think he was the top scorer, top assister in the hardest league in the world, and that element of it for me, by the way, is not under question, to be honest. It's the most intense, the best league, without question. For example, maybe Ousmane Dembele will win it, and what a player he is, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that for a second, but Dembele, it's so you don't even have to question that PSG will win the Liga. No. It's not even, they don't go into the season with who might challenge them. I know they've not. There's been occasions over the last 10 years where they haven't won it, but it's just a given that they will win it. Whereas for Liverpool, they have to give absolutely everything, and I think that's what kind of cost them actually against PSG. And by the way, if they win that penalty shootout against PSG, I think they go and win the Champions League anyway. And if they do that, then Salah gets the Ballon d'Or, and it just, to me, just seems ridiculous. I just think in terms of individual performance, the level that he performed at last season, there was nobody in the world who touched the quality levels that Salah showed, and he won't win it because no. It's all these team things, and it basically kind of, we have to seemingly give it now to the one who wins the most team trophies for some reason, but that, it's an individual award, and I really do think Salah should have won it. He'll probably end his career now not having won it, despite probably having been the best player in the world for a couple of seasons, I think, out of his career. But what can you do? It's it's just a nonsense, really, isn't it? And I just hope he finishes as high as possible, and his reward at the very least will be kind of the love of Liverpool fans who don't doubt for a second how good he is, even if the journalists across Europe maybe won't vote for him. But I think it's a travesty he's not going to win it, but there you go.
You do think it's going that way, and the expectation is, and he's trying not to be cynical or sound so loserish, that because PSG have won the Champions League, no one's still going to look and go, by the way, Mo Salah's got 63 goals and assists in 58 games under Arne Slot in the hardest league, and they're not going to look at that. They're just going to say, PSG won the Champions League, the end, aren't they?
I mean, what the most frustrating aspect, actually, is that kind of this talk that Lamine Yamal will finish above him, which I just think is a nonsense. I mean, this kid is going to be unbelievable. I mean, he is unbelievable at the moment. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think you can say on his performances last season that he was better than Mo Salah. He just wasn't for me. I mean, what does he end up with? 9 league goals in La Liga.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So I'm sure he was playing really well in a lot of those games because he's fabulous. But come on, what Salah was doing was just on a different level. If Yamal finishes above him, I think it's a joke, really. But then that just kind of sums up what the award is, and kind of, it's who plays for this club, who will do the most to get the most votes. And I don't think Liverpool play that game as much as Barca and PSG will, because of the whole glamour around them or whatever. That's not really Liverpool's bag usually. So, whatever, really, I guess. I only feel for Mo because I think he deserves it. But, I just think that the whole thing's a nonsense, really.
Yeah, and at least we'll go and not sulk off and not turn up at least. So we will see what happens later today. And, I mean, rewinding back to yesterday, because we have got to talk a little bit about it. That Arsenal-City game, I mean, which now leaves us 5 points ahead of Arsenal. And Christ, you have to scroll down to City in 9th on 7 points, 8 behind us. It wasn't the greatest spectacle of a game, really, was it?
No, it was interesting. It didn't kind of go out I think anyone would have maybe expected. And I think if you said 18 months ago that one team was going to be backs to the wall and the other was going to be dominating possession and looking to probe, you would have kind of flipped the script on that one. But kind of nice to watch from a Liverpool perspective, knowing that maybe, City winning wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. A draw in the end, you can absolutely take that as well. And Liverpool coming out of it with the lead that they've got. So, I don't think a bad result for Liverpool at all. And, already got a 5-point lead, and you're like, I honestly mean this. Like, I know it's so early to say this, but you kind of think, like, if Arsenal lose at the weekend and Liverpool win and that goes to 8 points, you're already, I know 6 games in, this sounds stupid, but you're already getting to the point where you're like, that's quite a big gap. That is a big gap for Arsenal to claw back, because they have to be perfect. Liverpool have to go on a really bad run to claw it back. And then, even then, they have to then be better than Liverpool from that point. We talked about the maths of that quite a lot last season, about what it means to overturn an 8-point deficit or whatever. I know we're not quite there yet, but it's already this pressure on Arsenal. And just from Liverpool's perspective, that's fantastic, really.
It is crazy to go. And I suppose the thing, I don't know if it really told for you in this game, they get an equaliser, so you give them credit for that. But they celebrate it like it's a World Cup winner. We know what we've been doing week in, week out. We're getting that ball out the net. We're pushing for the winner. Anfield would have just been electric beyond belief in that situation. Is that, they talk about small margins at the top. Is that what it is, essentially?
I just think, like, the mentality of the players in that scenario and the mentality of the manager is a different matter, but all feeds in together. But just what are you doing, not getting hold of the ball and getting it down with? They still had what? Because I looked at it when the goal goes in. Is it 4 or 5 minutes left to get another goal? And I'm thinking, like, oh, Arsenal could do this, and then you realise that they're not getting the ball, and you're like, maybe I'm just thinking of this from a Liverpool perspective, whereby they would. I mean, so I saw someone put a post on Twitter earlier saying something about, remember when Origi got the ball out of the net when he'd scored the winner in the derby? That's how locked in Liverpool are. I thought that was funny, but it's true. Like, I just could not believe that they think that was a good result, particularly as for them, they needed to win. They've got to stay close to Liverpool. They have to stay close to Liverpool. Because last season they didn't, and then it got to the point where there was no chance of them getting back in. And so, I can't believe they think that a draw is a good result in that situation. And it's just kind of, I think that the difference in mentality around the starting 11 as well, the manager puts out, again, just trying to contain, not trying to win the game. Yeah. And then the difference in the kind of, the substitute, he brings on Mascara at the end, doesn't he, after they go 1-1? What is that about? Honestly, I could not believe that. And this genuinely, like, we can buy into these narratives too much sometimes and kind of make too much of it and try and be too critical in situations where they don't deserve it. But bringing on a centre-half in that situation at 1-1, you genuinely know for a fact, because we've got proof, not just this season, but last season, Arne Slot would not do that.
No.
Arne Slot's been throwing on Rio Engamoura at Newcastle. He's been throwing on Chiesa in every opportunity he gets. He just throws on forwards until a goal happens. He puts Gravenberch in centre-half. He's just throwing on wide threats constantly. He's like, how can we score another goal? And Arteta's instinct in that situation is, oh, don't throw away a point. A point's no use to you. You need to win that game, particularly now because you've got to go to Newcastle and probably win. A place that's very, I know they're not flying at the moment, but they've conceded only 3 goals, all of which came in one game, and it's a tough place to go for Arsenal. And all of a sudden they have to win that game now, and it's like that's a disastrous position to be in. And so I think all the criticism that Arteta gets, I think is merited really, and I just that for me was the biggest kind of example you could get of the difference in the mentality of the managers and the players between Liverpool. And we talk about mentality sometimes too much and say, sometimes it just comes down to quality. But I could not believe what I was seeing with that yesterday. Bringing on a centre-back, the team he starts with, they're not getting the ball out of the net. They're going to make it easy for Liverpool again if they keep it up.
Yeah. And to be fair, as I'm saying it, I'm all here for it because it just shows that difference in mentality, that edge you need at the top. And the more they do it, the happier we will be. And I suppose the only other thing in all the narratives yesterday, and I get they've got to play up, there's a title race and people. And the thing that just for me is a bit lazy at the moment is everyone keeps talking and just using it as a given. Liverpool's defence isn't good enough. They concede goals and they're really open. But when you look at things like the XG, it's never been above 1. It's been below 1 in every single game this season. There's been a couple of clean sheets. It's like that bit in Bournemouth has just been extrapolated as what's going to happen all season. It's just a bit of a lazy narrative, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I just don't think he pays attention to what's actually been happening in the games, to be honest. I mean, I think it was absolutely fair to criticise after the Community Shield and Bournemouth. He did look open. Yeah, they looked like they couldn't stop counter-attacks, but you've added Ryan Gravenberch in, and that's not been the case. And I know they go to Newcastle, and that's not an easy game, but they actually don't give up that much in expected goals, and they also don't really give up counters at all. It's just 2 kind of long balls into the box that they don't deal with well. And then they follow that game up by playing Arsenal, who put balls into the box, and they defend them really well. They did it against Everton. They did it against Burnley. So they kind of just solved the problems as they've gone. And as you say, you look at the expected goals numbers against over the past kind of 4 games, been very, very good. I always think if you're south of 0.7 on your expected goals against, you can probably expect to keep a clean sheet, or you might get unlucky on some occasions. But if you stay the other side of 0.7, you can be pretty, you prime pretty much to get a clean sheet. And so Liverpool doing that at the moment, and very unlucky against Atletico. The Everton finish is a great finish. I think obviously they keep clean sheets against Arsenal and Burnley, so they're defending at a very good level. I think where they've maybe struggled a little bit is kind of, Burnley, they couldn't kind of get the breakthrough till the penalty, and the expected goals for against Arsenal, against Everton, and not right up there where you'd want to be. But it's a new team, being put together basically, and I think there are going to be teething problems in that aspect. But defensively, been very, very solid, really. And again, you could have a defensive record like Arsenal if you want to play like them. But obviously, that's got trade-offs, which are that they cannot create from open play at all. And again, if we're talking about kind of issues that title challengers have got, why are we talking about Liverpool's? I think Liverpool's are like, They do have some things to kind of work out, not defend that. I think maybe just getting more consistent in their attacking play. But Arsenal can't create from open play whatsoever. Their open play XG is nothing, basically. And that's going to be a bigger issue for them going forward than any of the other title challenges they've got. I just think that is a real problem they've got, and yet no one's kind of talking about it enough, I think. So, for me, Liverpool, that underlying performance is starting to click up to match with where they want to be. And I think in kind of 4 or 5 games' time, I think they'll be absolutely fine. I don't think Liverpool have got huge problems, certainly not in defence, as you say. So, I'd be more worried if I was an Arsenal fan, particularly because their underlying performance is questionable and 5 points behind already.
Yeah. Long story short, it's a fair conclusion, people. If everything just carries on the way it is at the moment, we will all be absolutely ecstatic come the end of the season. And in off-the-field news, it does feel like stories are going to rage about links to players. It's a bit quiet with the transfer window. And the other one to ask you about, and it's just going to rumble until someone definitively in Mark Guehi's camp, Ibu Konate's camp, or the players come out themselves it's kind of easy paper news, isn't it, really, just to stick in a link to Real Madrid again, or someone signed a deal, or the famous, they're leaning towards somewhere. It's easy to fill column inches that way, isn't it?
Yeah, just feels, to be honest, like a lot of noise at the moment. And, there's a few things going on. The Real Madrid stuff kind of, they want Canate, they want Saliba, they want Guehi.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to sign all three of them, to be honest. I think they'll sign one of them. But it's still all up in the air. I still haven't had anything kind of concrete on Canate to say either way that there's going to be a resolution anytime soon. Obviously, the closer you get to January, the more kind of risky that gets. But we'll see. You still live in hope of a breakthrough. It's very, very hard to say in a concrete fashion. I know people want to, but we just don't know yet, genuinely. And with Guehi, pretty similar. Liverpool ruling out January, but maybe, I don't know. It's all kind of stuff that's up in the air, and I think very hard to predict at the moment.
It is, yeah. Any length like belabor war, and we've all got things we'd like, but yeah, we're all waiting for anything solid to develop on those. And I suppose the only other, and it's a weird one to ask you about, but it's relevant because I didn't think our owners would be doing things like the overlap in the US, but there's Tom Werner talking about, Liverpool, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, the transfers and everything. Have you seen any of that and any thoughts on it at all?
I actually haven't, to be honest. I've seemingly somehow missed that. If you want to give me a brief précis, I'm all ears. But I genuinely, I've not seen that.
Yeah, I mean, he looks very tanned, but he is probably a billionaire, so he should be enjoying his life and those bits. But yeah, talking about Richard Hughes, the picking of Arne Slot, how Michael Edwards has been key, how they're looking at multi-clubs, saying that, they try and distance themselves, from the emotions that sometimes you need to spend because of the way it works. There was nothing really, I suppose, controversial or things that he came out and thought, oh, why is he saying that? Which, considering Tom Werner talked about playing a game in the US, is probably a good thing. So maybe someone's just had a word before. But just a bit weird, our owner being on a US overlap type of thing. I mean, you'd be worried if Richard Hughes sat down with Neville Keane and Ian Wright around the table, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Tom Werner's actually kind of, he's out of FSG, the one who will kind of on the big occasions will stop in the mix zone and speak to us, give us 5 minutes. You never can really get a word out of Mike Gordon or John Henry. That's very difficult. Tom Werner will be the one who will front up and speak. So I'm not surprised it's maybe that it is him who's done that. And, he might as well talk about it at the moment because I think they do an incredible job and they've got to be pretty pleased with themselves, haven't they? So, interesting. I'll have to kind of look into that and see exactly what he said. But yeah, like I say, it's not a bad time for them to talk, albeit I'm pretty sure Red Sox fans aren't happy with them at the moment, are they? Because they think all the money's getting ploughed into Liverpool, even though that's not how it works. But FSG, for me, doing a fantastic job at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going off the field at the